what's up guys? Welcome to an episode of PATTAY'S Performance. Today in the driveway, we have my 2003 Honda Element. Promise you guys we're going to do a couple videos on this, but we don't have a choice. This car needs to pass New York State inspection. And also, I need AC. It's hot out. It's well over 100 degrees. I'm getting old. And it's just the heat is treating me very different this year. Anyway, the purpose or the motivation to this video is Mega Dirty Birdie and a lot of you guys with the Honda Element and existing videos on the Honda Element. My biggest issue with the air conditioning videos for the Honda Element is that they just show you the shortcut. They don't show you how we got there, how it's out, and how it goes back in. This video was supposed to be part of a series, but because of the weather and what's going on, this is going to be launched before everything else. So when we initially get into the video that I started, things might seem a little off, but the face value of it is removing your air conditioning AC compressor and putting a new one in. And I had to do this job twice so you guys could do it nice. And also, this is my first time doing an air compressor on a Honda. And technically, I failed. Failed is the first attempt in learning, and the second time I had to do it, had it done in less than an hour. So just take that into account, okay? Zero specialty tools needed to do this job. And we're gonna go over that. After we're done with this part of the video, I'm gonna go into what I was doing when I was actually working on the vehicle. And I guess between heat and everything else, there's a couple of things I just honestly didn't like, but I could not get rid of it because it's just not out there in general in YouTube world. And it's shedding you guys some light on what goes on and how it gets there. So let me explain to you guys how I diagnosed that I needed a compressor. I probably could have gotten away with doing a compressor clutch. The reason why I wanted to do an AC compressor is because we live in New York. A little rusty crusty here because of the weather, and as you guys know, the AC compressor is in the worst spot in general, down below. So my AC compressor was not working. One, there was no freon in the system. If there's no freon in the system, your compressor will not kick on. It has nothing to compress. So what I did to diagnose it was I did two things. I jumped the relay and the compressor wasn't spinning. So we know it's an electrical issue. And I took a gamble because there could have been a short somewhere in the line, and I just did not want to get involved in any sort of electrical work. It is not my strong point, I'll admit it. And I don't know if we can capture this, but the AC compressor is located in a terrible spot. As we said, it's on the passenger side at the very bottom. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. The focus will come in. No, but it's down there. So anyway, we're going to cover how I did this. I'm going to start at the top of the engine before we work our way down. We're going to go to our high and low side hoses. This is the ports that you're going to use to charge your AC system. You must disconnect the low side. See this here? Low side, L is low. Low side is also the smaller port, and your high side is the bigger port, just for some reference. Anyway, you're going to have to take this fitting out. When you drop your AC compressor, this whole line comes out. So what you need to do is, I forgot what size wrenches they are, they're in the video. You can even get two adjustable wrenches. One here, and you twist this one off. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Do not take one wrench here, or here, and try to do it. These lines are made of aluminum. You're going to strip and you're going to rip them. Do not use one wrench. Please use two. Now, there's this mounting bolt right here. That's 10 millimeter. Disconnect that. This is already disconnected. This is disconnected. Now, This line is nice and loosey-goosey. From there, we're going to go to underneath the vehicle. Oh, and just another thing. Before you do the shop, make sure that there is no freon in your system. Technically, because you don't want to break the law, you should have a professional shop or somebody evacuate the freon out of the system. If you release it back into the atmosphere, it's bad for you, it's bad for the environment. Don't breathe it in, whatever. If you choose not to do that, do it slowly, crack a line open, and let everything go out. But you should not do that at your own risk. I am not responsible. Next thing here, we have the serpentine belt. You see that right there where my hand is? That is your tensioner. That is 14 millimeter. You can use a very long box wrench, or I'm going to show you a picture of how I did it at work because I didn't have a box wrench, where I put two wrenches together to give me extra leverage. You're just going to take the belt off and move it over to the side. I did notice my belt is missing a rib. I ordered a new one. That will be for another day and time. From there, we're going to go down below underneath the car. But before you do that, there is this piece here that needs to be removed. Okay, so as you go underneath the car, you're going to have to remove this plastic piece here. There are a series of plastic push-pin clips. You have to start at the passenger side fender well, start in the middle, and work it all the way around to the driver's side. Once you free that up, you have full access to the entire assembly for the AC compressor and the subframe. Everything is a straight shoot. Let's go underneath the car and take a look and see what else we got to take out. Alright guys, here we are underneath the vehicle. We're going to have to drop the subframe. That is your 17 millimeter bolt. You must pull that out in its entirety, all the way out. Next, you have to do the same thing on the passenger side as well. 17 millimeter. One size only. There is no other bolt just like it. Very easy to see. That bolt comes entirely out itself. Next, 17 millimeter as well. That is your front motor mount. The head is facing the passenger side, so you got to pull that out, passenger side, and now the front of your subframe is completely free. Now we have to move to the back of the subframe and release the two rear subframe bolts, 17 millimeter halfway. All right, so let's get back to the rear subframe bolts. Your point of reference is your sway bar bushing. Right in front of the sway bar bushing is your 17 millimeter subframe bolt. You see where that sway bar bushing is? That's 17 millimeter right there, and the same applies for the driver's side. Take those out halfway, and from there, the subframe is going to open up like a Pac-Man now. And that's how you're able to get enough room to squeeze your AC compressor out. Now, we must get to the AC compressor. As you guys see, it's nice and brandy new. There's your AC compressor right here. This part's going to open up. Okay? Inside, you're going to see. Okay, you see this bolt right here that we could see? Follow the line up. That is a 10 millimeter. Okay, I'm going to take that out and I'm going to pull this line out of the way. Next is your electrical connector, and you're going to follow your compressor to your electrical connector. There's going to be this tab. See that white tab? You pry that open, and that green connector, right past the upper radiator hose, that comes out. After that, you have a series of 12 millimeter bolts. One, up top is 2, 3, and 4. The top AC bolts have a wider circumference, even though they're 12 millimeter, than the bottom ones. You cannot put the bottom in the top and the top in the bottom. Two different ones. Do not do that. After that, your AC compressor is going to drop out completely with the hose, and then we'll continue with the live video from there. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to an episode of PATTAY'S Performance. Today, hammering away on the hot element. Okay. next thing I want to do is the AC compressor, right? Good thing I looked at it first before I start taking this thing apart, because now you know you guys do not have to pull this ground out, okay? It says that it comes with 5 ounces of oil. I'm gonna have to look up and see how many ounces of oil it's supposed to take, because we're probably most likely gonna have to add. And here's our connector. And this is where our hose connections go. Alright, so far, if you guys see, right here, on the element, it goes just like this. All those clips have to come out. They go on the side too. Now everything is exposed. You get little clips like this here. After that, it's a series of 19mm bolts. This is your front motor mount. This has to come out first. Then your 2 front subframe bolts come out 19mm. This is what I'm using to take out those clips. Cool tool. After that, I did the motor mount bolt first, which is right here. Head goes through this way and comes out, and there's a nut on the other side. It's kind of built into it right here. Let me see if you guys can see that. Training line out of the way. See that? Goes right through here. So you have to push the subframe up to put it back in. So we're lowering the subframe. Okay, 19mm bolts. Right here. Here's one. You see the mounting hole there. Right, there's your visual. Same thing for that side. Now in the back, your giveaway is 19mm. And here's your sway bar bushing bracket. Here, and the same thing all the way over there. Now, once you reach to the compressor, okay, I sprayed everything down with some lube, because like I said, see, look how oxidized this is from just being at the bottom. Don't forget, we live in New York. It's a really crazy, crappy state weather-wise. Okay, if you look up there, see where I'm zooming in? That is what's hold your AC line. That's a 12mm, if memory serves me correct. Let's see. Nope, that's a 10mm. 12mm are the 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the top. Now these are notorious for breaking. So what I did is I gave it a little smidgen of a tight first, and then I worked it back down. And then if you guys can see here on my crate, see these little particles here? That's from the little bit of rust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that line down, and then I should have better access to the 2 top bolts. And then your connection for the AC is right here above. Follow the line off the compressor. You go right here to this connector. Undo it, and you're good to go. And that just came off. I didn't have to unplug this. You see that? I unplugged. You don't have to. You unplug it from this harness here. Alright guys, compressor's out. I had to remove this hose here. I forgot if it's the high side or low side. Because this is in a really crappy spot, and I didn't want to strip this nut. As you can see, I already have it soaking in PB Blaster. So once I get this off, we're going to be good to go. I'm going to give you a couple more tips once I get it in there again. Alright, so here we are, AC compressor. I was not expecting this. So pretty simple, right? 5mm. Obviously I broke these free. already, and these come right out. Now I'm mad because I don't have my AC O-ring kit here. It's at work. Like an idiot. I'd love to put new O-rings in here while I'm in here. I think the kit only came with 2. So let's see. Yep, and then you see how it's drilled here and here. Pop this out, put that one in right there. Alright, so we got to get this stud out. Milwaukee torque lock vice grips. Give these away all the time. We gave them away 2 or 3 times. And this stud will come right out. Guess this is just universal. And then we could put this housing back in the way it should be. And we're going to fill this thing up with oil. Alright, so here is my screw me moment. This oil compressor comes already preloaded with 5 ounces of oil. PAG oil, which is very important. This car needs an additional 3.5. I have a syringe. It's labeled AC syringe. Look what happened. I went to wipe it and clean it. It's gone. The labeling is gone. So, with that being said, I'm going to have to add oil when I recharge the system. If you are going to recharge it yourself via cans, then you're going to have to go in and get a measure and put it in there. You know what? If I clean this out, that's what I used to change oil. Can I get ounces? Yeah, I don't want to risk it. I'm just going to add it when I get it. I'm going to have my freon charge via machine, and they can add oil into the system when I charge it. So let me put this in, make a note to myself, 3.5 ounces, got to go back in. Alright, so we installed new O-rings. See how they're green? Can I see that? But they're green. 2 O-rings. There should really be 3 because we have this one here technically. But it is what it is. You're supposed to coat them in PAG oil. I'm not going to make a mess. So I do this all the time. You could use any type of lubricant, WD-40, the whole line. Do not put those O-rings dry. And of course, see those bolts? We got to clean those up. This one is still stuck in here. Can you believe that? This is what I was talking about these bolts. So we have to unstick this. See that? Look at all that rust coming out. So you got to unstick this bolt, put everything back in. Use anti-seize. Alright, so I put the AC compressor back together, and lo and behold, the O-ring that should have came with the kit did not. And it ended up tearing and breaking when I reinstalled it and caused a leak. One of the things you should get is this Master AC O-ring kit. It is dirt cheap. Get them all. You are going to need it at some point in time. And this again is showing you the adapter of where it was leaking. You just didn't have a choice. So please don't make the same mistake as me. Get that Master O-ring kit. Replace all the O-rings that you take apart. Cover them in mineral spirit. If you don't have mineral spirit, use WD-40. Now this here is showing the correct O-ring for each port that I used. Now I did use a small pick to remove the O-ring. Okay, and that is also showing you that when you remove the tensioner, you're supposed to use a long breaker bar. I use 2 wrenches tied together for the extra leverage. No specialty tools needed. Alright guys, so with that being said, your AC compressor is back in your Honda. I strongly suggest with the money that you save by doing it yourself, you bring it to a repair shop or maybe have a mobile mechanic who could put this thing on a vacuum for at least a half hour. Really suck out the system and give you a really good charge. Something you will not get if you just do it by the can. When you do an AC compressor, right, you're really supposed to be changing the receiver dryer because you're opening up the AC system and you're letting moisture get inside. Those little balls inside the receiver dryer that trap moisture and help you get a nice cold AC. With everything being open, you're getting access and letting moisture out into the system. When I went to Advance Auto where I got my AC compressor, they require that you change the receiver dryer in order to get your lifetime guarantee. But since the receiver dryer is built into the condenser, according to them, they waived it. So what I did is that I was fortunate enough to put my my AC system on a vacuum for an hour. You really could do 30 minutes. I have guys that do it overnight because they have a little vacuum pump. But at least do it for a half hour minimum. The money you save, right, this is the home stretch. Spend a little bit to definitely ensure that your AC is going to be nice and cold. Definitely throw a little bit of leak detector in there. God forbid you have a small little leak later down the line. You could pick it up and hopefully it's just an O-ring, and with the kit you have you could fix it or just replace the broken component. As you guys see, it's a very simple system. You have your two hoses right there, your condensers in the front, your receiver dryers in the front. So, you know, like I said, no specialty tools needed. Take your time, use anti-seize, and, you know, if you want to spread it out over a little bit because it does get hot out, you know, by all means go for it. If you don't finish it right away, don't get discouraged. There is just, I mean, they rate jobs like in an A, B, or C. I mean, I almost feel like this is like a basic, you know, mechanic job per se. Like I said, no specialty tools needed, no fancy equipment. It's hands and a basic set of hand tools. Now you need that special push pin clip thing to take out the clips. Little flathead, sometimes you want to pry that clip out before you use the push pin tool. And then after that, you're just going to need maybe a 3/8 ratchet or a 1/4 inch ratchet. You're going to need a 17 millimeter for the subframe bolts. And just like I was talking about the AC compressor, right? If you feel those subframe bolts getting tight, don't be afraid as you're loosening them to tighten it back up and just slowly work at that bolt. Now what I did, because my rear subframe bolts were very hard to get out, I put everything back together, right? And what I did is I completely took out one subframe bolt in the rear at a time. I didn't do both in the rear at the same time, right? Because I had so much trouble getting them out, took them out, cleaned up the threads, put anti-seize, put them back in. Now, when I had to do the AC compressor for the second time to get to that blown O-ring, all those bolts flew right out, no problems whatsoever. So also think about if you're going to be doing some future repairs down the line for your Honda. A lot of us have elements. It's a labor of love in the sense that, you know, we're an element owner for the long run. They're not making one anytime soon. So you guys are going to have to choose to love it. With that being said, I mean, as inconsistent as this video is like to be, hopefully you guys found this video helpful. And you guys smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and guess what? I'll see you guys on the next episode of PATTAY'S Performance. Later.